Julian, thank you for joining us, man.
Yeah, a pleasure.
Excellent song before. I really
Thank you.
like that.
Thank you very much.
We're going to talk about some of your influences now.
Okay.
So let's pop right into them.
This is Django Reinhardt.
Django.
Django,
Okay.
that's right.
The three-finger guitarist. Three fingers?
Two fingers.
Two fingers.
He lost. It's actually insane, this story, because he was a gypsy from France. His wife got pissed off for some reason when he was 18, because that's what happened. Set fire to the caravan, and as a result, it screwed up his hand.
Oh my God.
At the time, so he ended up having a hand that kind of looked a little bit like this, with mobility between these two fingers. Awesome. So he'd do chords like this, and he'd play around. So he's a bit of an inspiration for guitarists. But I'd say more importantly than just the fact that it's amazing and virtuistic and all that kind of stuff, is that he wrote fantastic songs and he had an immediate sense of composition.
I wanna love you every day and every night.
All these people that are really important to me are primarily, before being fantastic performers, they're great writers, and I'm transfixed by Bob Marley songs when they come on.
The message.
There's the message component of it, which was quite huge with Bob Marley, but his writing was so infectious. I mean, when some of his beats come on, it just grips your ear, and so it really.
You just start dancing.
You really do. You really do.
Totally.
And that reggae kind of thing. And there's also a connection between Django Reinhardt and reggae.
Okay.
That there's that a lot is on the upbeat.
Okay.
Which is reggae.
Very cool.
You know, it's all on the upbeat, and it tends to
that
lift.
parallel.
And they're both musics that I find really awesome in the way that they can be very joyous without being cheesy.
Okay.
And there's music that can be very joyous, and you're like, that's a bit cheesy. Whereas with their stuff, there's always some gravitas to what they're doing, which is really, I think, very poignant, and it can capture you. Even the cynics of the world can sort of connect to it, which is quite impressive, really.
Yeah.
You know? Being from the Middle East and not being able to go back to Lebanon so much, we'd go to Abu Dhabi, which was before Dubai was really hip and happening and cool and groovy like Williamsburg. We'd go to Abu Dhabi, and they had these tapes that they'd sell, which were stamped with original. They were copies.
Oh, okay.
And my first one was Nirvana. Nirvana, again, a massive thing about them is that even though there were a bunch of young scallywags, they were up to, their own thing, and they didn't really necessarily realize that they were fantastic writers. Again, Kurt Cobain was a fantastic writer, as well as Dave Grohl.
And all of them went on to,
Yeah, exactly. I mean, first two records of Dave Grohl afterwards, for me, are amazing records.
Yeah, really incredible.
And also really good arrangers. Kurt Cobain would put his voice in a place that would really shine, and the bass would be in the right place, and all this kind of stuff. All these things that are pretty guttural, and you can really feel them on a guttural level. They did fantastically well. It was a really strong band in that way. So that's Yann Tiersin.
Now, who is this?
So Yann Tiersin is most famously known for the music that he did for Amélie.
Oh,
so
I do love the soundtrack.
Yeah,
yes,
it's an amazing soundtrack.
It's awesome.
And again, fantastic writing.
And it sets the tone for the whole movie.
Absolutely.
It's very melancholy, but okay.
It's got melancholy to it. It's got nostalgia. It's got romance. It's got a sensuality. It's got the French thing. There are all the codings that you need for that movie to sort of place it and sort of narrate the story musically. And I've been listening to that record for a long time. I've also listened to some of his other records, like the Goodbye Lenin soundtrack.
Okay.
Not as much. I really love the Amélie soundtrack.
Yeah, but he has some other stuff out there that we could check out.
He's got a bunch.
Yeah.
And he's a film composer, so it's there's quite a variety. This is Manan Kundera, who is my favorite author. He's a groovy guy.
Awesome. And what did he write? What was sort of most...
Well, I mean, when you ask me
him?
about influences, I figured I'd talk about some lyrical influences, which I feel that lyrically, when I approach a lyric, I like, and it's a way that you might approach a lyric, but I like observation. I love the human condition and seeing how people function and the motivations behind people, motivation behind people's actions and why they might do things. And Manan Kundera is a fantastic human observer. If you peel through his pages, you'll find a wealth of observation on how people function, and I tend to agree with him.
Yeah,
The most
get that
famous
nature.
book is The Unbearable Lightness of Being. The Unbearable Lightness of Being. But I also really like the joke.
Okay.
So he really influenced my general way of thinking,
Awesome.
and I find it's an interesting thing to talk about Manan Kundera, maybe, well, no, as much as other artists, I suppose. You know.
And writers can influence, film and
But
film
it's
can
huge, yeah.
influence music, and
huge.
I love it.
This was based on a true
Thank you
story.
so much for
Thank you,
joining us
Travis.
today. This has been great.
Yeah,
And,
fun times.
Yeah,
Groovy.
appreciate it.